name again?
Steve Fisk. Okay, I was cut off last time with very complicated and confusing. I didn't get a chance to talk about very complicated and confusing. First thing, this is a minor point. In your description of the park area, you describe skateboarding and you use the word tennis. There's no tennis courts in the park recreation area. There's paddle tennis. There's a big difference between tennis courts and paddle tennis. So if I were you, I'd change it to paddle tennis.
Very good.
If you use that, because you don't want to be embarrassed by not knowing there aren't tennis courts there. The second question has to do with the I-zone section and the I-zone exemptions 2B, which has to do with expressive items and inextricably intertwined. We've gotten rid of nominal utility, but inextricably intertwined is inextricably a big problem. A big problem. Because how do you prove that someone, I mean, I could claim that my God is an automobile and go down there with auto parts, and how can you tell me that that's not what I believe? And who's going to make that judgment, and how is that going to be enforced? You're opening up a can of worms there, a big can of worms, and it will result in lawsuits. It should be, I think the way it should read is, items which have been created, written, or composed by the person, that is the person who's vending, and expressive items which are inextricably intertwined. That means that it's the artist, him or herself, who has created a piece of art that it is inextricably intertwined with their message.
It's the Ninth Circuit standard, inextricably intertwined. It's their words, not ours. It's
right.
The Ninth Circuit standard. We cannot challenge the Ninth Circuit standard.
Well, why can't you put expressive items that are inextricably intertwined? Because you're opening it up. Anyone can go out there and say, like the Rastafarians.
It's a good suggestion.
They're importing hats from China.
Right.
It's commercial resale.
Right. So, David, can we do it?
I think that's an interesting point. We're going to take that to the judge and talk to the judge about that.
Great.
Along with the other part.
Great. Well, thank you, Steve. We'll take that to the judge.
Okay, here's something that's confusing to me, and perhaps you can explain it. Again, it says the P-zone permits, this is in 4A of the P-zone section, are not valid in the I-zone, but it also says in section 2A that all activities permissible in the P-zone are also permissible in the I-zone. That in itself is confusing. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's very confusing. You're not, people you can be in the P-zone, in the I-zone. Do you understand what I'm saying? Where the confusion can arise? I think that language needs to be clarified there, because it leaves open an argument that I can have a P permit and be in the I-zone. Because all activities in the P-zone are permissible in the I-zone. That's what the language says.
No, but the ordinance very clearly says you need an I-zone permit to be in the I-zone.
I would put that in print, in the P-zone section. Otherwise, if you're reading the P-zone section, you think that what you're doing in the P-zone is permissible in the I-zone.
Those activities are, but you need an I-zone permit to do those activities in the I-zone.
Right. Okay. I'm just saying that it's confusing. My point is, it leads to confusion. If I were an officer trying to enforce that.
David is saying it's a good point.
We think it's clear in the ordinance, but if it's not to you, it may not be to others, and we need to go back and see if we can make it as clear as possible.
Great. Anything else?
Okay, I'm going to finish up here. To me, if I were an officer having to enforce this I-zone and the P-zone and all the complicated stipulations regarding each zone, I would not be happy with the job that I'm faced to do. And I would have to read this ordinance with such detail to understand what my job entails to enforce this, that it would be very confusing. And I agree with what the other people said. I think we should design an ordinance that is very, very simple, that takes commercial products off the boardwalk and allows spaces for musicians to play, and for the noise to be on the boardwalk, which in the spacing of those of where that amplified music is, it just doesn't go up those walk streets and disturb those people. You've got, with the P-zone, you've got people clustered together, performers clustered together. It's not going to work. That's not going to work. We have a treasure in Venice. We have a real treasure here. It's a gem. And this is very, very complicated, and it's very confusing. The problem always arises when the officers are on the ground enforcing the law, and quite often the officers are harassing. They target and they select. Bill Greenslade was selected. He was targeted. I was there when he was arrested. It didn't need to happen. This lawsuit didn't need to happen if the community itself is given a degree of self-regulation. I submitted to Arturo the latest draft of the Peacekeeper Project. I hope you will take a good look at it, because it is something that allows a buffer zone between the vendors themselves, that allows for consultants and mediators to be active on the beach, so that the police are not the first line of interaction. When the police are the first line of interaction, you get big problems, and you get lawsuits, because people really get pissed off in the way that it's a human stage. It's a whole life stage. It needs to be managed and produced by people who understand the artistic temperament and the free speech. In Santa Monica on the 3rd Street Promenade, they have a third party that manages the 3rd Street Promenade. We need the boardwalk to be properly managed and self-regulated by the people of Venice and the people who are operating in the culture of Venice.
The city attorneys wrote some notes on it, and what I'd like you to do, Steve, you met with Norman this morning, is meet some more, because these ideas make a lot of sense, and they're scribbling and changing it around there. We want it to be effective, and we want to keep the spirit of Venice alive. Thank you. That was very contributory.
All right, I'm going to be real brief. I'm going to be real fast, even though we waited 2,000 years to speak in this world. This is the only forum. I really came down here because they had free access on television on Charlie Edit.
Right, 750,000.
All right, so
thank you, Channel 35.
Thank you. Thank you all. I respect everybody, but like I said, my people come from the South, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas. And like I said, my grandmother comes off a plantation. I was born in downtown LA in 1961 on Hope Street, John Wesley Hospital, which is not there anymore, but Hope is still there. But anyway, like I said, if you all were here to do the right thing, you would take money, city money, people's money, just like you tore down a pavilion. They had a stage there. Just like if you went down to San Pedro, you know that little parkway over there by the ocean? They have a big seashell stage by the ocean, turned towards the sea. You can have power there, people can get their amps, we can perform, crowds would be there, we can collect money and get all the musicians, the noise off the boardwalk. But you won't do that. You tear down a pavilion, you leave up like a graffiti pit, and you talk about kids writing up on everything. You leave a pit right in the middle of the ocean where they blow in fumes and all that. The police are just there like sharks. You know, all the little kids.
You got to do a wrap up, please.
All right, here. Okay, let me wrap it up. You all have to pay for damages of your false system that you implemented on us for the last 2 years, which are police systems. I mean, if you all think you're going to get away with torturing us over and over, human beings, we're going to let you all get away. You're not going to get away. Like I said, you don't take care of the poor. You don't take care of the homeless. Reagan was the biggest patient dumper in the world. Anybody that's poured out of the Reagan Library, talking about would Reagan approve? He brought crack cocaine into Los Angeles and guns. Oliver North and Noriega killed my people all over LA, and you all want to glorify Reagan. That's why in downtown LA, You all are eminent domain. You're taking over the whole city for the rich people. You're taking over Venice, and you want to get rid of the common people. Won't you just admit it? Give us our money, millions of dollars, and we can get out of here.
All right, thank you so much.
California will fall until they do justice to the good people. Those are my prayers. They're the good people. We can make wind, thunder, and lightning. It should happen.